I've never thought much about my mom's friends. They'd visit, laugh too loud, drink white wine, and talk about people I didn't know. But that night felt different from the start. The house was too quiet, and I already knew I'd stay longer downstairs than I should. Mom was getting ready to leave for her work dinner, rushing between her bedroom and the hallway. Her friend Vanessa stood in the living room, leaning on the edge of the counter, scrolling through her phone like she owned the place. She looked up when I came down the stairs, towel around my neck, still warm from the shower. "Well, look at you," she said. "You've changed." I smiled awkwardly. "Guess college does that." Her eyes lingered for a second too long. "Apparently." I remember the smell. Her perfume mixed with the citrus cleaner Mom used that morning. The air was heavy and warm. Vanessa wore a loose blouse and jeans, simple, but everything about how she stood said she knew the effect she had. I kept my eyes on the counter, pretending to look for something. Mom appeared behind me, keys jingling. "I'll be out for an hour or two. Vanessa, you're okay to stay? The girls are still meeting after 9. "Of course," Vanessa said, smiling. "I'll keep the house company." They laughed, and just like that, my mother was gone. Door closing, silence settling in its place. I grabbed a soda from the fridge. Vanessa opened a bottle of wine. She poured herself a glass and glanced at me. "You can have one too, you know. You're not a kid anymore." "I don't think Mom would like that." "She's not here," she said, with that quiet confidence that made the air tilt. "And I'm not telling." There it was, the first unspoken rule. A secret between us. The sound of the fridge door closing felt louder than it should. Somewhere outside, a dog barked, then the whole street went still again. She turned her back to me to reach for the corkscrew, her hair falling over her shoulder. The movement was small, casual, but when she spoke, her voice dropped low. "You're a man now, right?" I froze. My pulse jumped before I could think. She didn't look at me. She just stood there, opening the wine like she'd asked about the weather. I forced a laugh, said something like, "Depends on who you ask." She smiled into the glass, not turning around. For a second, I thought I saw her reflection in the microwave door. A faint smirk, just before she took a sip. I wanted to say something, anything, but my voice caught somewhere in my chest. Then came the sound of footsteps, quick, sharp, the front door opening again. My heart stopped. Mom's voice. "Vanessa? I think I forgot my purse." Vanessa's hand shot out, signaling me not to move. She stepped into the hallway with that same calm tone, meeting Mom halfway. "It's right here by the sofa," she said. "You're lucky I noticed." They exchanged a few words, the kind people say just to fill time, and then the door shut once more. The silence that followed was deafening. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Vanessa walked back into the kitchen, her glass half empty. "You okay?" she asked softly. "Yeah, just thought she'd come in." "She didn't," Vanessa said. "So relax." I turned to leave. My room was upstairs, and everything in me screamed to go there, lock the door, and forget the way she'd said it. "You're a man now, right?" But before I reached the hallway, her voice followed me again. "If you're curious," she said, not looking up from her glass. "The kitchen's still open." I stopped. For a second, I almost turned the handle of my door upstairs. But I didn't. The clock in the kitchen ticked softly. I heard the faint sound of her refilling her glass, and then the whisper of her bare feet against the tile. That was when I knew I wouldn't leave the kitchen for long. I didn't mean to come back down. Not really. But 10 minutes later, I was in the kitchen doorway again, barefoot, pretending like I needed water. Vanessa didn't say a word. She just poured another glass of wine and gestured to the chair across from her. The lights were low. Only the under-cabinet lamp was on, casting a soft glow over the counter. She'd pulled her hair into a loose bun, strands falling down her neck. Her robe was gone, now just a fitted tank top and old pajama shorts. Too casual to be deliberate, too specific not to notice. I sat. She took a sip, then slid the glass across to me. "You hesitated," she said. "What?" "Upstairs. I heard you stop halfway." I smirked. "And you just waited?" She leaned her elbow on the counter, rested her chin on her palm. "Maybe." I lifted the glass. Lipstick on the rim. She noticed. "You can wipe it off if that bothers you." "It doesn't," I said, but my voice cracked slightly. She smiled. Outside, rain started soft at first, then steadier. It drummed lightly on the windows, filled the silence between us. Vanessa refilled her glass, then pulled a mug from the cabinet and made tea for herself. The mug was pale green, chipped slightly near the handle, one I'd used hundreds of times. She stirred slowly, eyes on the swirl of steam, then set the mug right in front of me. "I don't usually let anyone touch this one." "Why not?" "Because no one ever noticed it mattered." I stared at the mug. The gesture wasn't big, but it felt like something had shifted. Then came a buzz. My phone, still in my pocket. A message from Ethan. "Dude, you ghosting us tonight?" I turned its screen down on the counter. Vanessa glanced at it. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just a friend." "You're allowed to have plans," she said. I shrugged. "Plans can wait." Thunder cracked far off. The house creaked. From the hallway upstairs, faint floorboards shifted. We both went still, but nothing followed. No voices, no footsteps, just the storm. Vanessa looked toward the hallway, then back at me. "Funny," she said. "I always hated silence before, but now it's kind of nice." I watched her lips move, the way her fingers circled the rim of the cup. The space between us had shrunk without either of us leaning in. It was just gone. "I used to think you were shy," she said suddenly. "I was. You're not anymore." "I don't think I am right now." The rain got heavier. Somewhere, something metal clattered outside. Maybe the neighbor's trash bin. My pulse jumped. Her hand brushed mine. Fingertips, light and fleeting. But she didn't pull back. "I should go upstairs," I said. She didn't answer right away. Then softly, "You can. Or you can stop pretending this conversation is about tea." I looked down at the mug between us, now half cold. Her lipstick left another faint trace on the edge. She saw me staring and smiled, almost sadly. She leaned in, just a little, close enough to feel the warmth of her breath. And then, knock, knock, knock. We both froze. 3 firm knocks. Front door. My chest tightened. She stood fast, smoothing her top, stepping around the counter like nothing happened. I stayed seated, heart racing. From the front hall, we heard a voice. Muffled. It was the neighbor, Mr. Kaplan. Vanessa opened the door just a crack. "Sorry to bother. Did your lights flicker too?" he asked. "Once," she replied, calm as ever. "Might be the rain." "Tell your sister I said hi," he added. She smiled. "Will do." She shut the door, locked it, walked back in, looked at me. I should have said my friend's son, but I didn't. My throat was dry. "Why not?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked past me. Before going upstairs, she paused at the entry to the hallway. Over her shoulder, with the same look as before, she said, "Tomorrow, if it rains again, come down earlier." And then she was gone. I didn't expect it to feel normal the next morning, but it did. Mom was in the kitchen early, making coffee, humming something tuneless. She didn't mention the wine glasses in the sink or the second mug with the faint lipstick stain still visible. I kept stealing glances at it, waiting for a question that never came. "You were quiet last night," she said over her shoulder. "Just tired." Vanessa said the same. I froze. "She talked to you?" "Texted. Said she got home late. That you were polite." I nodded, trying not to breathe too deeply. By evening, I was back in my room. Lights off, curtains drawn, pretending to do coursework. But all I could think about was what she'd said before leaving. "Tomorrow, if it rains again." It didn't rain. But around 9 p.m., I heard the soft chime of the front door. Her voice, low and casual, floated from the hallway. I didn't move. Not yet. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, I stepped out. The house was darker than usual. Only the light above the sink was on. Vanessa was there, washing something, quietly humming. She didn't turn when she heard me. "Thought maybe you forgot." "I didn't." She smiled without looking. "No rain, though." I still came down. She turned then, wet hands, sleeves rolled up, hair tied messily, skin glowing from the soft yellow light. She looked tired, but not in a way that made her less beautiful. More dangerous, maybe. She handed me the green mug, the same one, warm and filled with tea. "No lipstick this time." "I made extra," she said. We stood in silence. The house felt muffled, like the walls were listening. "I keep thinking someone's going to figure it out," I said. I hadn't planned to say anything. "Figure what out?" "That something's different." Vanessa leaned back against the counter. "Do you think it is?" "You don't." Her eyes stayed on mine. "I think I stopped pretending last night." The mug felt heavier in my hand. I took a sip. Same taste, different weight. Then, a sound from the hallway. Heavy, fast steps. I turned toward it and saw Mom's silhouette at the top of the stairs. She started down. My body reacted faster than my brain. I slipped into the laundry room just off the kitchen. Light off. Door cracked. Vanessa didn't move. Mom's voice. "Vanessa." You're still here." "Yeah, just waiting for my Uber. Had one too many at Beth's." "You want water?" "I'm fine." I heard the fridge open. The door of the cabinet. Dishes moved. Footsteps. Then silence. I held my breath for another 10 seconds before I heard the steps retreating upstairs. I came back out. Vanessa stood exactly where I'd left her, arms crossed. "You didn't have to hide." I panicked. "I didn't." The silence stretched. Then I asked, "Why did you leave the mug out?" She walked up slowly, took the mug from my hand, and placed it on the table. "Because it's not a secret anymore," she said. Her fingers brushed mine. "And I wanted you to notice." I swallowed hard. I did. It wasn't much, but it was the closest thing to a confession we'd had. And it changed everything. She turned and walked to the living room, where her coat was folded over the armrest. I followed. She picked up a folded napkin from her purse, wrote something, slipped it into the mug. "If you're done hiding," she said, "read this when you're alone." She walked toward the door, paused, and added, "Tomorrow, same time, but this time, come through the back." She didn't look back. I didn't sleep well that night. Every creak of the stairs, every flicker of hallway light made me think Mom would open my door and ask why Vanessa was still here, why her lipstick was on a mug, why I looked the way I did, exposed, guilty, pulled toward something I couldn't explain. The napkin stayed folded in my drawer for most of the day. I didn't open it until late afternoon. 5 words. Back door. 9:15 sharp. Alone. No rain that evening, but the sky was heavy, the kind that made the streetlights glow too early. I canceled on Ethan again, told him I had food poisoning, silenced my phone. Set a fake alarm for midnight so I could pretend I'd fallen asleep early if Mom asked. At 9:12, I slipped out the side door, came around the back. Kitchen window lit, back door slightly cracked. Vanessa stood in the hallway in a fitted sweater and jeans, barefoot again, like always. She didn't smile, just stepped back to let me in. "I didn't think you'd actually do it," she said. "Why not?" "Because after last night, I thought you'd disappear." "I almost did," I admitted, "but I couldn't stop thinking about it." She looked like she wanted to believe that, but something in her had changed. Not colder, just more guarded. She poured tea into the green mug again and handed it to me without a word. The lipstick mark was already there. "I thought you stopped wearing it," I said. "I didn't," she replied. "I just stopped pretending it wasn't intentional." We sat on the living room floor this time, lights off except for the table lamp. The curtains were drawn. Everything felt still, too still. "I know what this looks like," she said quietly. "To other people. To your mom. I don't care what it looks like. You should." I looked at her. "Why did you even start this?" She leaned her head back against the wall. "Because I was lonely. Not in the single for too long kind of way. In the I forgot who I was kind of way." She glanced at the mug. "Your mom always called me the wild one. The one who dated musicians, took off to other cities, stayed up late and never got married. Truth is, I did get married. Twice. Didn't last. No one knows. I let them think I'm just free. But mostly, I'm just not seen." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. She kept talking. "And then you walked in with that look, like you weren't sure if you belonged in your own skin yet. And I saw myself 10 years ago. Except, you looked at me like I wasn't fading." I swallowed hard. That was when the doorbell rang. Both of us jumped. Vanessa turned off the lamp with one sharp flick. "Darkness." She whispered, "Stay here," and stepped toward the front of the house. I heard her open the door. Muffled voices. Then a name that sent a jolt through my chest. "Tom's around." My name. "Ethan. I think he said he'd be at your place?" Vanessa said, cool and composed. "He never showed. Figured I'd check." "You just missed him," she said smoothly. "Maybe try texting." My phone buzzed in my pocket, the only sound in the house. He left. Vanessa came back in. The room stayed dark. I could barely see her. "You lied for me," I said. She sat back down beside me, her back brushing my arm. "So did you," she whispered. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was loaded. "I should go," I said. "You should," she agreed. Neither of us moved. Then she stood, walked toward the hallway, and paused at the stairs. "No rain tomorrow either," she said. "But you already knew that." I stood too. "What if someone sees me?" She looked back. "Then they'll finally see me too." Then, after a pause, "Same time." I didn't text her the next day. She didn't write another note. No folded napkin. No message in a mug. But at 9:15, I was already at the back door. And it was already unlocked. The kitchen was dark, but the hallway light was on. I stepped inside, heartbeat louder than my footsteps. No music. No tea. No rehearsed words. She was standing in the hallway, her back to me, looking out the window. I didn't say her name. She turned. Her sweater slipped slightly off one shoulder, but she didn't adjust it. She looked different, not younger, not older, just still. Neither of us moved at first. Then, quietly, "You came anyway." "I didn't want to pretend today." She walked toward me, slowly, barefoot again, every step louder in my chest than in the room. When she stopped in front of me, I thought she'd say something clever, something teasing. She didn't. She just reached out, took my wrist, and guided my hand to her side. Warmth met hesitation, and hesitation gave in. I leaned in first. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't explosive. But it was real. And when we pulled back, just an inch, she whispered, "No more secrets, then." That was the choice. Simple, quiet, without ceremony. We didn't say the word together. But we didn't have to. A week later, I came back from campus to find the house unusually quiet. Mom was out again, this time with friends, maybe dinner, maybe work, maybe both. I dropped my bag by the stairs, walked into the kitchen. She was there, already barefoot, hair damp like she'd just showered. No wine, just the green mug, steam rising, and lipstick, faint but unmistakable. She didn't look at me right away. I didn't speak. I sat down across from her. No rush, no tension, just silence we both chose. She slid something across the table. Not a napkin this time, but a folded sticky note. Yellow, casual, almost childish. On it, 5 words. Same time tomorrow. My room. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. The last thing I remember from that night wasn't her hand in mine. It was the door to her room, slightly open, warm light spilling into the hallway, and her shadow waiting on the other side.